Alright guys, what is up? It is your boy, Alyx. Of course, this is not a Raw review. I think we can all agree Raw was not good tonight. It sucked. I turned it off midway. I can't see how anybody sat through tonight's Raw. It was not a good show at all. But luckily, it didn't matter. What mattered tonight was the interview that took place on the WWE Network. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin hosting the Stone Cold podcast, featuring the owner, the chairman of the WWE himself, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon, whatever you want to call him. This interview, great. I enjoyed it. Every ounce of it was riveting. Honestly, it should have gone longer, but I think they were only allowed like an hour, maybe even less than that. I don't even remember how long it was. It didn't go long. Long enough, at least. They could have kept going. Even Vince McMahon gave it like an extra 15 minutes because of how good it was. But yeah, man, it was really good. Was it as good as the CM Punk podcast? In my opinion, CM Punk just nudged it. I thought CM Punk and his interview with Colt Cabana was a lot more engaging, a lot more eye-opening. This one was engaging too. It just didn't have that pop and that oh my god factor that CM Punk had, which made it a lot more better. But this was good though. Austin asked the right questions. He held nothing back. Vince McMahon answered all of them in a way that we wanted. Not really. He gave us some PC answers, and I'll get into it when I talk about what he said. But for the most part, it is well worth the listen. If you have not listened to the interview, it should be up on the network right now. And see, I want to say this. If there was ever a reason to really buy the network, stuff like this will give people more reason to do it, okay? You should do stuff like this more often. This uncut, this exclusive stuff that we get on the network that we don't get anywhere else needs to be done more. Do this more and your subscription number will grow, okay? So that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this interview. Recap and just thoughts going around. I'm going to shoot off what they talked about, and I'm going to give my thoughts on it. He opens up the podcast straight off the bat, WWE Network. Are you happy with the WWE Network? Vince gave a very PC answer. Yeah, I think it's great. 90% approval and stuff like that. Fans love it. I love it. It's great. It's not great. He's not happy with it. You can't be. From a business perspective, below 1 million subscriptions, when you appeal to millions of viewers across the world, you can't be happy with that. But he's not going to tell us that. Why would he? It's on the network. I understand. The word wrestling was brought up, and Vince was kind of like, we're not about wrestling. This is sports entertainment. So clearly he's not a fan of wrestling. And Austin's like, but we do wrestling in a wrestling ring, wearing wrestling gear. Yes, the sports entertainment is what we use to make people care about the wrestling, but it's about wrestling. We are wrestling. That's what Austin said. And Vince is like, yeah, I agree, but we're mostly sports entertainment. You get that a lot with Vince. There's a lot of points where he comes across in denial, like, this is not what it is. This is what it is. And you kind of have to just, okay, whatever. If that's how you feel, Vince, whatever. But Austin challenged him on it. He even asked about the UK stuff. Vince said that it would be settled in January. So, UK fans, you might get your network soon. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, man, credit goes to Steve Austin for delivering. He asked Vince some big-time questions. Questions that we've been wondering for a long time. And he held nothing back. He told Vince, your opening segments are going way too long. He told Vince about TNA, and Vince was like, He mentioned TNA, but he still went, And then he talked to Vince about the talents. He talked about how they're scared to, do stuff. They're scared they're going to piss people off, walking on eggshells, and Vince said, okay, well, don't piss them off then. And then Vince mentioned that, you know, the talent nowadays is not like what it was in the Attitude Era. People in the Attitude Era were not scared to step out. They were not scared to be creative. And this roster is. They're scared to step out. And Austin just pretty much said, you know what? Then step up. You guys need to step up, be more creative. I am challenging you to push the envelope, okay? It doesn't matter how these guys feel. You are in control of your own destiny. You step up and you do something. And you know what? Yeah, go ahead. You heard it from Vince. You might piss people off, but you make yourself into a star and change their minds. You know, that's something that they just had to work with, I guess. He said it. He asked about people like Cesaro and Jack Swagger, and Vince just pretty much said, well, you know, they're good wrestlers, but they don't have charisma. In particular, Cesaro, he said that he lacks charisma. He lacks microphone skills because he's Swiss. But ultimately, he lacks the it factor, which I just question because Cesaro had it. Fans were behind Cesaro around WrestleMania season, and then you did this whole thing with Heyman, and you kind of killed him off. And Austin said that as well. And he gives the PC of all PC answers. I really don't like hearing him say this, but the business has changed. He said that a lot in this interview, and I'm just like, God, come on, Vince. Just because the business has changed doesn't mean you still can't put on a good product. But at the same time, he mentioned how Raw was good tonight. He liked it. He thought it was great. So, you know, like I said, I didn't like it. I thought it sucked. Vince thought it was great. There's a disconnect there. Something's not right. Maybe it's just me, but if I didn't like a show, and I'm pretty sure you didn't like it either, but he did, again, he says he's not out of touch. I don't know, man. There's a disconnect there. I don't trust it. But he goes on to talk about his past and stuff like that. He asks about the army of writers and the old days, how it was just a few people and stuff. And again, he gave you the same PC answer. The business has changed. And I just think, oh, man. God, man, that's just his way of saying, it's just how it is now. It doesn't have to be that way, Vince. It really doesn't. I think, personally, the product would be a lot more better if we just cut it down from 26 to at least about 10. Or 5. Well, okay, 10. That's as much as I can ask for, so I don't know. They asked about Shane, which was pretty cool. Shane McMahon, he's out doing his stuff. Didn't dwell on him a lot, though. You know, that's also something I kind of want to talk about, too, about this podcast. We didn't really delve into a lot. We touched on some stuff that I thought could have been great topics. Shane McMahon, how is he doing? Are we going to see him back? And he just kind of, he's doing great things. And that's it. You know. But one thing he didn't graze over, to my shock, was CM Punk. Austin asked him, your thoughts on CM Punk? Well, Vince McMahon came out and apologized. He apologized that CM Punk was terminated on his wedding day. He says that was not intended, which I still don't believe. I don't believe that. I think deep down, it was plotted for CM Punk to be fired on his wedding day. Was it Vince that plotted that? Maybe, maybe not. But I will give him credit for at least apologizing for it. That is something that needs to be done. So there you go. And he even acknowledges that, you know, Punk was hard to work with, and miscommunication was the biggest part between Vince and CM Punk not getting along, because Punk was a loner, like Austin was. Austin was a loner too, but it was different with Punk, I guess. But he does say he hopes to see CM Punk back again with WWE one day. And again, I said that too when I talked about CM Punk's podcast. You're going to see him back. It won't be anytime soon, but give it 5-10 years. The doors are open, most likely. But he apparently did not listen to the podcast. He just hears it from people. So again, it further illustrates that people in the company are talking about what happens on the internet, and they're telling Vince about it. So, but he gives a very PC answer. It doesn't delve into it again. There are always two sides to every story. Okay, what is the other side? I'm still waiting on it. And until I get that other side, Vince, he could have actually talked about it. Maybe he'll talk about it on the extras we get on the actual website of Austin's podcast, because there's going to be more about the interview. We only got like a snippet of it on the network. We're going to get the other side of it on his actual website. So maybe he'll talk about it then. But again, until I get that other side, that argument is dumb. I'm like, there's always two sides to the other story. Okay, what is the other side? There is no other side right now. All I have is what CM Punk said. So based off of what he said, WWE screwed up, and he's in a good light. So I have to wait until I get the other side. Don't just say there's another side to a story. What is the other side? That's my thing, man. But moving on, he also talks about The Undertaker, and he reveals to the world that he was the one who decided to end The Undertaker streak. The creative decision came from him, and it did not come from The Undertaker. As a matter of fact, Mark Calloway had nothing to do with it. He was just as shocked as we were when the decision was made. But Vince has a philosophy that you have to be willing to give back to the business that, you know, helped you out. And Taker was a team player, and Taker just went with the decision. Vince thought it was time, and he thought Brock Lesnar was the guy to go with it. Now, you can question that logic all you want, but that's just how it is. Speaking of Brock Lesnar, Austin asked him about, hey, Lesnar's been gone for a long time, man. I don't know if this is a good idea to have him gone this time. Vince just pretty much said, you know what, we are in an era nowadays where the title doesn't matter. And dear God, do we see that on TV. When you hear him talk, when you hear him reveal his true thoughts, you can see how it's reflected based off of what you've seen on the TV set. Championships nowadays don't matter. Vince McMahon even just said to us, it doesn't matter anymore. You know, the title doesn't matter. What matters is the spectacle of the champion itself. It's the guy holding the title. And he feels like in this era, Brock Lesnar being gone for a long period of time is what's making that championship really mean something. And he really believes that. He believes that the longer that Brock Lesnar is gone, the better the championship is. He feels like that if Brock Lesnar was on TV a lot more, he would get bored, it wouldn't mean as much, and he would run through the roster quickly. What do you do after that? And that's a good, valid point. And that's also an upside to Brock Lesnar being champion, but geez, man, I don't know. I still kind of feel like the value of championships, I feel like could really help the product out. And Vince says that the title doesn't matter. Okay, but you should make it matter. You should really do it. But that's another conversation. Vince has confirmed to us that Macho Man Randy Savage will be 100% sure will be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe not this year, but he's going in. Definitely. Great. Awesome. Now do Owen Hart. You know, he probably won't do that soon, but we'll see what happens. You know, again, he's just kind of just delving around stuff. He talks about the territorial days. He talks about when Vince McMahon first came in to the business and stuff like that. Vince said this comment about the territories, about how he didn't put them out of business. They put themselves out of business. And I just heard that and went, Vince, seriously? Vince, you put them out of business. Again, a lot of denial stuff. Again, with the wrestling, oh, you know what? We're not a wrestling promotion. We're sports entertainment. I didn't put them out of business. They put themselves out of business. Vince, whatever you say. Whatever you say. You know what I'm saying? But, next up, he talks about Jim Ross, actually. And this was the first time Vince was kind of like, I'm not going to delve too much into that one. He was like, I'm going to back off from that. But he did answer the question because Austin asked him about, Jim Ross is a great asset to the company. Why did you fire him? And he said, well, nothing personal. No heat on Jim Ross. His words, by the way. But he was acting very unprofessional during that whole panel and felt like it was justified. That's all he said. He feels Jim Ross is great and actually feels like they will work together again in the future. Just not right now. It's one of those things where if Vince and Jim Ross were a couple, and you know how on Facebook they have their status updates, it would say it's complicated. That's what it would be. It's a complicated relationship right now. So whatever. I can't say anything about that. I think he should still be in WWE, but I'm not in WWE. They just kept on talking about their feud, about how Vince McMahon was all like, hey, man, when I was feuding with you, it was one of the best times to be a wrestling fan. It was exciting for me, exhilarating for me, because I've always wanted to do it. You know what I'm saying? But then Austin, to cap this off, asked him the big time question. Are you listening to your audience? Do you listen to your fans? And Vince said, yeah, of course. And then Austin said, okay, so how can they voice themselves to you? And Vince is like, do you hear them? They're doing it now. It's like, no. How can they tell you what they want? And Vince is like, use social media. And Austin says, okay, tweet what you want from WWE to Vince McMahon and at WWE. And Vince is like, oh, crap. Because he opened Pandora's box. Oh, man, Vince is going to get it. Hey, he said it. He said that he listened to the audience. Okay? Prove it. Prove it, man. Prove how you listen to the audience. Let us tell you what we want, tell you our grievances, and you do something about it on Twitter. So, guys, he said it. You got your grievances against Vince? Go for it. Let your voice be heard. Tweet Vince McMahon and WWE on Twitter and see what they do. That's when the podcast ended. Again, it was only for a short period of time, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be more on his actual website, and I can't wait for that, but really great stuff. This was awesome. We need more stuff like this on the network. But anyways, guys, great interview. Not a lot of our fears were put to rest. I still feel like the product is in a bad place, but maybe with them opening Pandora's box, telling the talents to step up, telling the fans to voice their opinions to WWE and Vince McMahon through social media, maybe we'll see some change. So let's see what happens. That's my thoughts on that. Thank you for watching. This is your boy, Alyx, signing off. You guys take care. Peace.